Hey everybody, how you doing? And welcome to this week's episode. And we are in West Memphis,
Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas.
Not Tennessee.
Not Tennessee.
Which I thought it was.
I did too. You know how you have like an east and west side of Toronto, right? So we were in West Memphis, and we thought that it was West Memphis, Tennessee. But what we realized is that it's in Arkansas.
And we realized that when we went over the bridge and saw "Welcome to Arkansas."
Arkansas, yeah. When we were actually coming back from Memphis. So we're back from Red Bay. It was a little bit of a shit show in Red Bay. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I mean,
it all worked out okay.
It did work out all right.
But initially, the whole intent was to go to Red Bay, and we were planning to go to Tiffin to get our heater core installed.
Get it installed.
So, anyways, we ended up, I guess, to take it, just to give you a little bit of history, to take it back, when we were in Arizona, the heater core, as you know from a previous episode, it blew on our way down.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to see a mechanic in Arizona in November when we arrived, and we had them fix the electrical issue that we had with the tow of the Jeep.
Yep.
And then at the same time, we asked the gentleman there if he'd be able to install the new heater core for us. When he took a look at it and realized the amount of work that was involved because of the location of it and what had to be removed. So he was honest. He said it's going to be way too much in labor. So,
well, we already knew that, worst case scenario, that we'd have to go back to Tiffin, right, on our way back.
We were trying to avoid that.
We were trying to avoid that because we just didn't want to have to dip that far south. It would cut into the amount of time that we'd actually have on the road to kind of enjoy our trip back. Sorry. So we ended up just getting in contact with Tiffin. I mean, basically, and that was
I think it was in January.
So we ended up calling them. We gave them our VIN number, and the gentleman basically explained to you. You go ahead and actually tell the story there.
What he said was once we gave him the VIN number and make and model, he knew exactly what was involved based on that. He said that they could repair it. It's normally an 8-hour job with one technician, but what they do, and at Tiffin they have, I think it's 60 bays. So it's basically an assembly line. So what they do is they would put 2 technicians on it, so it would be a half-day job. And at that time, we were told the rate was $125 an hour per technician. So basically $250 an hour, 4-hour job, $1,000. So we knew what we were looking at. We now knew, we had to make that way back.
Yeah, and we have, peace of mind thinking, hey, this is great. We're going to be able to go to Tiffin. We're going to be able to get it taken care of. Because you know what, living in Canada, we definitely need to have that heater core. Just not only because of the heat, but because the way it cleans off the front windshield when we're driving, and there's, it needs to be defrosted.
Yeah.
We actually, when we were driving down and it blew, it was cold, and I mean, Karen was at the front of the RV with the stick that we normally use to clean the window with a cloth on it, cleaning off the front window of all the moisture that would build up on the front window that the defroster would normally take care of.
And we were told when the trucking company actually, because we ended up getting a temporary fix on the way down.
Yeah, they did a bypass.
Right.
Yeah.
So what a lot of the film that we were getting was antifreeze.
Yes, and that was actually
That's why.
And you want to know something? I just thought of this.
What?
Do you remember the first time when we were coming back from your brother's and we pulled off the side of the highway right at Strathroy?
Oh, right.
And we had all of that steam come up onto the front window.
You're right. So you know what? I think it was.
That's when it probably started to blow.
And then it just.
And then it just blew that after sitting for 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow! Epiphany! What? Wow!
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyways, so we ended up making our way to Red Bay, and we pulled in
on the Monday.
On the Monday, I mean, after we did our 800-mile journey
on
Sunday, which was actually really. It was kind of cool. I mean, watching that thunderstorm go over Dallas.
Oh, it was.
That really was pretty neat.
We basically were on the road from 7:30 in the morning until 11:30 that night.
Yeah.
We pulled into a Cracker Barrel for the night.
Oh yeah, crashed.
We couldn't get a spot at a rest area, and it got us that much closer, and it allowed us to arrive in Red Bay at the park. That's what they call them.
But
anyways, it's like a big parking lot gravel.
And they've got
with
sewage
full
and your
hookup.
full hookup. Yeah,
So,
Yep.
anyways, we arrived there on the Monday, so it got us a day earlier
which was
by
great.
doing that long day.
Yeah,
Then we got up on the Tuesday morning and
made our way over to
Tiffin.
the Tiffin check-in, and pretty much that's when everything kind of fell apart.
Well, yeah, we ended up filling out the paperwork, and they said, well, while you're doing that, because we have to write down the list of what we want
Wanted to get done,
fixed.
put our punch list together for Tiffin because they'd be able to take care of it for us, and they asked us for our VIN number. And they put the VIN number in, and lo and behold, they said to us, "Oh, you're over 10 years."
We were 10 years as of last September, and they don't actually work on RVs, even though it's not under warranty. They don't work on RVs that are
At
over
all.
10 years old.
Like,
So
I mean, I could not believe that. We were in shock.
we were in shock because we
We
weren't
had
told
no-
this on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to them originally in January, gave the guy our VIN number, and we explained that to the man and the woman that were actually working the reception at the front, and they basically told us there's nothing that we can do about it. And the excuse that they used was, well, you know what?
They've got a lot of
They've
new
got
staff.
a lot of new staff, and you know
They didn't know.
They didn't know. And I'm thinking, okay, well, when did you guys actually, institute this new 10-year plan? And of course, it was just after Tiffin and Thor amalgamated. So I'm thinking, well, when did that amalgamation happen? Or when did it happen? And it happened in 2020. Well, we're in 2023 right now. And you would think that, okay, I'm sorry I'm going to rant here, but you would think by then they would actually have some kind of a cell or formula that they'd end up putting into their computer system that would flag anyone with a VIN that's 10 years old and say, hey, you know what? Let these people know that we don't service, like at all, we don't service anything over 10 years. We do not service you anymore.
Right.
That pissed me off. I mean, really. That
Yeah, and it wasn't at the fault of the two people that were at
Oh,
the,
Lord,
the
no.
service. They were
No,
really nice,
no,
and
I
they
mean-
were actually kind enough. They called and spoke to, I believe he said it was the general manager or the
Ricky.
service manager,
yeah.
and
I think Ricky's the guy that takes care of all of the RVs that are coming into the shop, and he schedules them to come in at whatever time because
Yeah.
everything's run on a time frame. So he basically said, "No, we can't take care of these guys. We got too much going
Yeah.
on."
so then they said tell them to go to the bunkhouse
Bunkhouse.
and ask for Scott.
Yeah.
He'd be able to, possibly help them out with that problem.
So what they ended up doing is they gave us this. It's the Tiffin Service Area Guest Guide. And what it is basically is a guide of all the different, hope you guys can see that, but it's a guide for all the different mechanics that are in the area that can basically service a Tiffin. It's huge. I mean, the thing was, when we got there, it was crazy busy.
Oh, it was.
I mean, basically, everyone who had gone south for the winter, coming back, was getting their rig looked at and repaired.
Yeah.
So there was tons of
People
people.
from all over. There was
was-
plates from Georgia, Florida, Alaska.
Oh yeah, it was.
I think we were the only Ontario plate, though,
I
that
didn't
I
see-
could see.
Yeah, I
anyway.
didn't see any. Yeah, I didn't see any
Yeah.
others from Ontario as well.
But it
But-
was busy, and they say the busiest time is November and
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
So it's basically people traveling south in the fall, and then
Yep.
people traveling back in the spring, heading back
Exactly.
up. So it is busy time. We knew that, but
Yeah,
we were
certainly
really
weren't
shocked
expecting. Yeah,
that they were saying no, that they couldn't. So we ended up. We went to the bunkhouse.
yeah. We actually ended
On
up
the
calling.
Tuesday?
Yeah, we called
Last
Scott when we
Tuesday.
got back at around 9 o'clock in the morning on the Tuesday. He didn't get back to us. We went there on the Wednesday in the morning, and when we got there, luckily enough, his coworker was there, and he was actually able to get in contact with Scott for us. I talked to Scott and told him our predicament and let him know, hey, listen, we're referred to you by Tiffin from Rick, the service manager there. Can you help us out? And luckily enough,
he was able to do it at 8 o'clock.
the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we brought the rig into him the next morning, and that was a load off of our
It was.
off our backs.
That was the big fix.
that was yeah,
Mechanically that we needed
that
done.
we needed to have
We
done.
did have what Tiffin would call a punch list
list.
of other things that we wanted them to do, which now we know they couldn't. So we started to look through this guide they gave us,
And
and there's a list. We called multiple places. Some of them they couldn't look at or see us until sometime this week.
Yeah.
So we knew we were getting close on time to be able to cross back, because we had to cross back by April 16th.
Exactly. And I mean,
So
I basically had given up because we had been on the phone for at least, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and, you know, waiting for people to get back to us. A lot of the responses were coming back as, you know what, we're too busy, we haven't got time. And it's one of those things where, once again, I'm kind of going back to my rant. If we had known ahead of time about the situation with basically not being able to get service and having this sent to us, because I get emails from Tiffin all the time for their new magazine, for their magazine that comes out. And seriously, I mean, what's it take to be able to put, you know,
just a notification say this is the new.
This is the new thing that we're doing now that we've switched over from. Well, they haven't switched over, but now they've been amalgamated with Thor. That we're not servicing any vehicles over 10 years anymore. And if we had known ahead of time, we could have basically called ahead if they had sent this information to us and
with other
scheduled
technicians.
But I mean, now we were there, and it was like we're running around with our heads cut off.
Yeah, we were a little worried.
Oh yeah, and I gave up. And honestly, thank God for Karen, because she basically it was a last ditch effort, and she ended up phoning this one company.
I called actually a few companies.
Oh, I know, but the one company, because it was the last one that you called. Because after that, we were going to pack up and say, okay, you know what? Let's just take it back to Ontario, get the punch list done when we got back, and leave it at that.
That's true.
And so go ahead. Yeah.
It was. And the reason why I left it the last one, it was actually not right in Red Bay, this company. They were in, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, Yucca, Mississippi.
That's right.
It was about a 40-minute drive from Red Bay.
Going north, which was great.
It was heading in the directions that we needed to go. But, so anyways, I called them, left a message, and within an hour, they actually called back, and we explained the predicament we were in. The one, we had a few things that we needed fixed, and one of them being the overhead cabinet had separated on the passenger side by about a half to 3/4 of an inch on the very end. We weren't sure if it was just cosmetic or if there was an issue. Anyways,
we definitely wanted to get that taken care of, because we didn't want that like dropping down on us when we're driving, because it gets pretty bumpy in the RV.
It was still tight, but anyways, they said they could take us in that day. So this was at about 8:30 in the morning. And so we said, well, we're just finishing breakfast. We'll pack up. We're on our way. So, and actually, they were so nice. It was Cassie that we spoke to. And
her
she gave
husband's name was Brian.
Yeah.
And then the other guy that was there was Justin.
Yeah.
And I mean, you want to talk about a really well-run shop. I mean, when I got out of high school, I worked for Canadian Tire and a few other companies, and I was working as a mechanic. And you know what? Really, this guy's shop was really well run. It was organized, but just the way they were so accommodating. The way that they greeted us, it was just they made us feel at home.
Oh yeah, they had the nice sitting area. Basically, when we pulled up, I think it was around lunchtime by the time we got there.
Yeah.
And they told us what bay to park in front of. We pulled the RV
right
in.
up to the bay, and we'll open the doors for you and let you in.
And we had they said even before we left Red Bay, they said, send us your list. So we sent them the list by text message, and Cassie had given it to Brian. And he had already gone through the list. He knew what needed to be done, and they were ready to go.
Yeah, they were organized. I mean, they knew exactly what they wanted to look at as soon as we got that RV in. I brought it in, and they went right to work.
They had one person do the cabinet, and then someone else was dealing with some of the other issues we had.
Yep, taking the trim that we had a leak at the door. Unfortunately, what ended up happening when that heater core blew, it sprayed water all down the passenger side, and right at the just on the other side of the door, there's a seam where the front of the RV, the side of the RV meet, and that seam basically had blown out because of the hot water. It basically melted.
It separated.
It basically melted the glue, or what was the adhesion that was keeping it together. So they got right on that, and they took the entire strip right off, cleaned it up, and actually put all new adhesive on there and set it right back into place.
They did that. They did the slide.
Yep, they actually took our
Readjusted.
slide, they readjusted the slide, lifted it up, and it was beautiful after it was all said
No,
and
they
done.
were really good.
But yeah, if they're watching, Cassie, Brian, Justin, thank you so much. You guys did an amazing job. But honestly, if you are going that way or you're in the area and you need work done on your RV,
highly recommend them.
definitely.
Hourly rate, excellent. Quality of work, really good. And the customer service is amazing.
Outstanding.
So I would,
Yeah.
So I mean, it made a bad situation initially end up to be a good, because as Bob just said, if you have repairs to be done, honestly, Red Bay, Mississippi
place to
area, they can really cover you for all different repairs.
And you know, in 2020 hindsight, just like respect, like just going back to this, aside from the fact that, you know, we weren't properly informed, which is the thing that kind of eats away at me, because I'd like to be able to be organized with stuff, and you know, we could have made plans ahead of time where things would have been a little bit more organized. It worked out for us, like you said, in the long run.
Did.
But I will give it to Tiffin that by putting this together, they're really helping the economy of the town.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you know what, the majority, and I'm just speculating here, but I believe the majority of the guys that are in here that have opened up their own businesses were employees of the company, and they've just ventured out and done their own thing, and I respect that. I mean, someone who is self-employed, you know, for almost 25, 30 years, for a company like Tiffin to do this and say, okay, here you go, guys, we can't do it anymore. We'll put a catalog together of all the names of the people who are, you know, in the area that want to work on our Tiffin motorhomes, I think is very respectful. I mean, and I hope things work out. I really do. Unfortunately, a lot of the companies that Thor has touched has really, the workmanship has diminished. But I'm hoping that, you know,
the Tiffins will remain, because
Bob did a lot of work. I mean, that's the reason why I bought ours, is because of, I mean, we had the 30-foot Gulfstream Supreme. That was the first RV that we had.
Yeah.
And when we decided that we wanted to go full time, we wanted to move into something that was a little bit bigger, had a little bit more space underneath and cupboard space above.
That's right. And all the amenities of home. Like this RV has, we have a bath and a half. Washer, dryer. So it's basically got all the amenities of home.
And I mean, a lot of the, because I did a lot of research when we were looking for.
We did. Yeah, you did. Actually.
Yeah, and I mean, we ended up going to a lot of the websites where they have forums and stuff. And this is outside of Tiffin forums, just regular RV forums. The people who had Tiffins raved about their rigs. And when we actually found, I guess, something that suited us budget-wise and the layout.
Well, the layout and all the amenities. It basically checked off all our boxes.
It did.
Right?
And
we've actually been really lucky with this. This was basically the first real mechanical issue that we've actually had in almost 5 years of having it now.
Yep.
So.
And a lot of it, I would imagine, too, is because it sat for 2 years during COVID, which is not good, because these puppies don't like to sit that long.
That's true. It was winterized and it stayed in Ontario. So.
Yeah, yep. But I mean, all in all, you know what? It sucked, but it worked out to be good. And what Tiffin did with respect to helping, you know, others within the community get business is a good thing. But it would have been nice if we actually had that little notification beforehand.
It would have, but we wouldn't have met Scott.
We wouldn't have met Scott. We wouldn't have met Brian, Cassie, Justin. You know, it was a good experience. And I mean, that's RV living.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
And Scott, he's the gentleman that did the heater core.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we mentioned it earlier, but I do want to get that in there. He was amazing.
Yeah.
He did it at about $500 or $600 cheaper than what we would have paid.
Yep.
And he had the heater core done within 3.5 hours. And apparently that's his specialty, is heating and air conditioning on these rigs.
Units. Yeah.
So he knew it like the back of his hand. So if you had anyone do it, it would be him.
Yeah, so I mean, and once again, if you ever have any kind of heating or air conditioning, doesn't matter what kind of a rig you have, Scott at the bunkhouse is the place to go. Yeah. No two ways about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were lucky.
Yeah. So next, we're going to be here in Memphis for 4 days. It's time to decompress.
Oh, it's time to relax.
And
We've
just
had
relax.
a really busy first week.
Oh, we have. Yeah, I mean, doing that 800 miles, getting into Red Bay, all the stuff that happened there. Now we're here. It's time to relax. We're going to get our blues on. We're going to go do some street photography in Memphis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, guys, join us for the next episode. Thanks for watching. A lot of blah, 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 but
We just wanted to share our story.
we just wanted to share our experience of what it was like for us. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next episode. And as always, live your best life. So we'll see you. Bye.
Bye, take care.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more, please click on that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to know when we're back.